everyone, and welcome back to the Lowdown in 15. And that is welcome back for those of you that were with me through season 1. But if this is your first time, welcome, and we're just about to kick off on season 2. Once again, I will encourage you, come along this journey with me, and if you haven't already, do hit that subscribe button, like the videos, share them, hit the notification bell as well, so you always know what is coming up on the channel. And for today, we're starting off season 2 with what better way but to have a recap of what happened in season 1. So I'm going to go through every episode, maybe add a tidbit here or there, or give maybe answers to some feedback that I did get. But you know what? Come along with me. And this episode is called Take a Walk with Me. Did you see that promo? That was a lot of work, but I thought it was worth it. You know, we had a wonderful season last year, and I think this year is even going to be much better. So let's start off. Remember, my first episode was abuse in church. That was a good one. Well, I'm going to say that for all of them. I think they were fantastic ones because they were of the leading of the Lord. But you see, abuse in church was very special to me because it was like an eye-opener. You know, yes, I'm a firm believer. I go to church and I listen to the word. I am attentive. But I realized in that season, do we actually take that word and run with it? Because in my spiritual family, the word was just bam, 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 one after the other. There was a warning, there was instruction, all for the COVID season, and we hadn't even heard anything about COVID. But when it did hit and I looked back, I said, wow, all these messages were key. And that was such an eye-opener for me. And I thought to myself, when we go and sit down in church and we do get the word, do we think that the man or the woman of God in front of us just brings it up? There is a waiting on the leading of the Lord. There is something that goes on, and when the word comes out, it's meant for us to run with it. And that's why I titled it Abuse in Church, because if we do not use it the way we're meant to use it, then we are definitely abusing it. That was the ethos of abuse in church. And yes, I got all sorts of feedback. I remember someone telling me that, no, your title was quite deceptive. That's not what we're expecting. Remember, I said it's from a blind spot perspective, what people would not normally think about, but it is the truth. So I think that was fantastic. And for me, personally, it was an eye-opener. Every time the Lord gives a word, it's never late. It is for a reason in that season. And the next one was the appropriate dressing for church. I got comments like, no, that's not what we're expecting. We thought you'd tell us it's the proper way to dress to church. But you see, what was key there was for us to remember our inheritance. When the Lord dresses us up, He dresses us up with a garment of righteousness. He puts that ring of authority and sandals on our feet, especially that ring of authority, that remembrance of who we are. You know, if we as the church had dressed appropriately, would we be addressed in the manner that we have been addressed in this season that has gone on, when the church has been made to look like it was of no relevance, and we're there struggling to see, are we an essential service? Because we have not dressed appropriately. Now, when you talk of the physical dressing of going into church, if you do believe in your heart you're going to meet the King of Kings and you're going, it's an important thing, you will dress appropriately to go there. So I think it's both ways. But most importantly, the appropriate dressing. Do we wear our robe of righteousness? Do we put on our ring of authority, our sandals of peace to spread the word? Do we do that? I picked particularly the message of the parable of the prodigal son, and when he came back, how the father ran out to him to welcome him, because all of us were prodigals at one point before we knew Christ. But once we come in, that is how we're welcomed by the Father. Yes, I had fun with this one. Sunglasses, a requirement, the way we see. This message was basically about the power of sight. How do we see things? Your perception of things. When we wear the glasses of a son of God, so we begin to see things the way the Father sees them. We see our fellow being as the way the Father sees. So it's easy for us to love. The perception of what happens to you. If this thing happened to you, do you take it that it happened to you or for you? What did you get out of it? So sunglasses was very key, because it is a requirement in the kingdom, that we see things the way the Father sees them. The Bible tells us that we are to have the mind of Christ. When you have the mind of Christ, you will see the way the Father sees and the Son sees. Yes, and then did you enjoy worship? Oh, wow. This was a wonderful one. I remember my brother Dominic with his strings coming up, and it was very key what he said. All he needs as an audience is his God. I spoke about how worship is a personal, intimate thing, and even when we come into the house of God, everything we do, every service we give, is a worship unto God. You don't wait for the worship ministers, they're the only ones to lead us into. No, they have their part to play. But you, where is your heart? Because what the Father wants is a heart of worship, a heart that glorifies Him, a heart that is submissive to Him, that we call on to Him. But you see, worship is so key and worship is so big. So this season, we should be expecting a sequel to this, and that one will be called Why Worship, because worship is such an essential part of who we are as Christians. The Bible tells us that we should give up our bodies as a sacrifice of worship unto our God, and it's a big thing. So the feedback I got, I'm going to delve a bit more into as well in this season. And then we had Let's Hit It. When I talked about getting your purpose, hitting that bullseye, because when you get your purpose, I think the greatest thing you can do is discover the purpose God has for you. Remember, He called you by name and He knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. So if He has a purpose and He's called you by name, you're called out to fulfill or fill up the name or fill up the shoes that He's given you. So when you hit it on bullseye, everything in your life seems to fall into place with that, because you've come in alignment with what heaven is saying about you. That was the essence of that message. But someone did ask me, I remember among the comments, that it was amazing that I used Anna's story as something that you can learn a lot of things for purpose with. But yes, it's a key story for me, because you can't imagine, the Bible doesn't tell us completely the number of times that Anna kept going to Shiloh. Why was it that time that it was answered? Could it be that now she had an alignment because, okay, Father, what is your purpose? I'm ready to fulfill it. And how even those closest to you subconsciously or not intentionally want to stop you from that purpose. Her husband loved her, but he asked the question, am I not enough for you? And she was quiet, which was an answer on its own. And there was Penina that kept on goading her. But another thing I wanted to add, with all the goading Penina did and the number of children Penina had, I don't think we know the name of Penina's children. Not one. But we do know Samuel. We do know Samuel, and we know that Hannah had others as well. So for me, this Let's Hit It was, we need to hit bullseye. Then we had Just a Thought. Just a thought, really? When you say, oh no, that was just a thought. Oh, I just thought about it. But they say the biggest wars are formed from an idea, a thought. The biggest inventions are started with a thought. So our minds need to be transformed and renewed. That's why the Bible tells us that it is a constant renewal of our minds that we need to do. When we have that expression, it's just a thought, really? Is it really just a thought? If you keep on deliberating about it, will it not now eventually become an action? What you think about is what you become. That's why I asked to think about the things. That's why the Bible says, let our mind meditate on the things of above and not on this earth. Yes, and we had Twisted, yes, because I believe in this world we're living in twisted times. We've twisted the values, everything that is deemed to be bad, that we all know as being bad and immoral, is now being hailed as the good stuff. No one should talk about it. Where the life of a baby doesn't mean anything. They say it's a fetus, it doesn't mean anything. Everything has gone wrong. Everything that is of value has been turned around, and we wonder why there's so much chaos in the world today. But we've left the original values, and that's what that episode was about, where people are thinking of, okay, how do we save the whales? But still our children are in jeopardy. What our children are being taught in school today is not of essence, So that's why I called it Twisted. And I remember the promo of that one. I had a tornado going around, because a tornado is a twisted wind. But you see, even in the Bible, when we talk of wickedness having a wicked mind, it's having a twisted mind. It's not right. It's not right. It's absolutely not right. And this one, oh wow, striker alert. Striker alert for men only. This was so special to me. This was so special to me. It was a call out to the men to arise, call out to the fathers to arise. And it was very special to me because I remember I did it on the memorial of my father's birthday. I realized even as I've grown up that my father was such an essential part of my life. I remember things he said to me, how he pushed me. If you look at the world today, we don't realize how much the men are under attack because, you know, the posterity of a generation is in the seed of a man. And you look at it today, our men are being attacked constantly. The point is that once you can take out the head, then, you know, you say you go for the head, the rest of the body suffers, you know. And our men are the head of the house. The father is the head, the source. I just wanted to put that as an encouragement because they are out there. You are out there. You can arise, you know. And also putting out the importance of a father. Our God is our father. He's our Abba. He's our source. He's our provider. That's what the fathers are today. Society today sort of it's actually an intention to emasculate the man, take away what a man is meant to be. And the importance of having a father's heart. That's what that episode was about, how important a father is. Because a father in every essence, when you actually grasp and you are a father, believe me, you're a hero to be reckoned with. You are a hero in every aspect. That's why I called it Striker Alert. I remember there was an acronym for the fathers in that, you know, that was really special to me. And when I tell people that, you know, when a man has a father's heart, it's a beautiful thing because if you have a father's heart, it's instinctive in you to protect, instinctive in you to provide, is instinctive in you to direct, to lead. It's a wonderful thing. So once again, I will say, men arise, fathers arise. You are needed, be it biologically, spiritually, you know, or even that person that someone looks up to and say, yes, this is my role model. I can go, I can tell him stuff about what I'm doing and get direction. This one, the games we play. Yes, at a point, you know, we as believers, I think we've let ourselves down, you know, where other people dictate to us what is going on. We're playing games with our lives, you know, games of chance, game of luck, and it's not that. The Lord has given us a word to stand upon. The Lord has given us a mandate to work with. And honestly, when we get to the bottom of it, if it's not working, we're not working it. The games we play is that, when are we going to stop playing games? And when are we going to be game to step up to what we're meant to be, step up to do what we're meant to do, where our mouths are not closed? Because the Lord called us, you know, to disciple the nations. And we can't disciple the nations if we are playing games and if our lives are left to a place where it's like a Russian roulette. You don't know what's going to happen today. People dictate to us, should you do this? Should you go out? Should you come in? Should your face be covered? Should you take a vaccine? There is a problem and we have to start dealing with it. And yes, we had the little rudder. And we spoke about the tongue, you know. Oh wow, we spoke about the tongue. But I think for me, even at that point, the key thing there is what comes out of the mouth is what has been full inside the heart. So it's so important that we guard our hearts. That, you know, when the Bible says guard your heart with diligence, you know, it's not in anybody's hand to guard your heart. It's in your hand to guard your heart. But the main thing about guarding your heart is filtering everything that comes through the truth of the word of God. But that was so key because as the tongue is very little, it can light a lot of fires. The words you speak from your mouth can either build up or break down. So the importance of having a bridle on your tongue. You know, they say that the empty vessels make the most noise. Do we bridle our tongue and know what to say at the right time to say it? Because you may be saying the right thing, but are you saying it at the right time? So that was what that was about. Oh, I love this, you know, have you got the vibe? And this spoke about our spiritual sensitivity. Are we at the point where we're hearing the voice of the Spirit? Are we bogged down with so many distractions, or can we actually hear our senses? We've just let our spiritual senses to go down because there is a vibe. I know we as believers, when we step into a place, the vibe should change. When we step into a place, the vibe should move up. When we step into a place, things need to change. So I should say, the day, you know, Ursula stepped into my life started to get better. There should be something because we are the light and we are the salt of the earth. Have we got the vibe so we can listen in to what the Spirit is saying? Oh, and this one was money. Yes, we talked about money. the love of money being the root of all evil, the purpose of money, gaining financial wisdom, and knowing the purpose of money, and the wrong interpretations that, as believers we're meant to be paupers. No, we're not meant to be paupers. The Lord said that we should come and have life, and life abundantly. He delights in the prosperity of his children. I know he's called us to rule. You don't rule from a place of obscurity. But have we understood those principles to rise up? That's what that one was about. And yes, for this one, definitely there was a lot of feedback. There was a lot of good feedback. There was a particular one said that, someone was on the side of, no, they don't believe that what I'm saying is right. Christians should not be worried about money, and I talked it through, try to get, the points across. But this one, definitely, there is a sequel coming out to this as well, because another feedback, another review I got was that there were quite a number of principles I brought out that needed to be broken down. But we have to remember we have 15 minutes. But yes, there'll be another sequel to that, because there's a lot to do with money going on, and it's very key, especially in these times when we can't afford to be at the bottom of the barrel. And last but not the least, it's the greatest, and it was just, especially since it was at Christmas, this spoke about love, and how love is an action. If I say I love and my actions don't show a correspondence to that, it's not right. It's not proper love. How the Lord has told us that, loving the Father with all our might is of utmost importance, as is loving your neighbor as yourself. The real importance of love, and how we can prophesy, we can raise the dead, but if we don't have love, it amounts to nothing. We're like clanging cymbals. That was the gist of it. And especially at that season, it was Christmas season. That's the reason the Lord came, because he said the Father loved us so much that he gave his only son. I know the Lord tells us that if we love him, we'll obey his commandments. So that was the last one for season 1, and that's why I termed it the greatest, because the Bible tells us faith, hope, and love, but the greatest is love. So wow, that was season 1. I hope you did enjoy the journey as much as I did, and I hope you're ready to go along this next journey with me. And it's amazing. I did say in the introduction that for this season, Lowdown in 15, the episodes will come out every 3rd Friday of the month. I hope you're tuned into Mission Monday, and I do want to get your own contributions. Do send it in, be it a write-up, a video. I love the videos most especially, and there's extra that comes out on the last day of the month. The next episode is going to be called Lift Up, and once again, don't forget, I am Ursula.